This section is about drafting your research question, part of your application assignment for this week. What is this about? In a nutshell, you will be taking the topic you identified in the last lecture and writing a question about that topic, a research question. And you'll be explaining why this topic interests you personally. And that's all. So first off, this is your first attempt at a research question. There's a 99% chance that your question will change. Why? You'll read a lot of papers on your topic as part of your assignment, and that might point you in a different direction as you find out like the kinds of questions that different researchers are asking. You may have some other ideas yourself. You might discover that someone else has already answered your question. Hardly any of us are lucky enough to find a question on our first try that hasn't already been investigated. That doesn't mean you can't look at some nuanced aspect of your question, but it wouldn't be the same question if you added nuance to it. And finally, you're going to be learning a lot about types of designs and types of variables, and those things that you learn will shape your research ideas, which will probably change your question. So this is your first draft. What are some qualities of a good research question? At this juncture, we'll have some basic qualities that we'll talk about. And a few of these qualities are, first off, interestingness. And that's an interesting word, I guess. But yes, your question related to your topic should be of interest. It should be compelling. It should be relevant. Secondly, make sure that it's empirical. It should be objective and observable, no judgments, no prescriptions. So I don't want to see any words like should in this kind of question. Remember, they don't have a place in empirical science. And thirdly, it should be feasible. You must be able to imagine a way that you could find an answer to your question. At this point, you don't have to write a way to answer it, but if you were asked, you should be able to say something like, well, maybe I could, and there should be a way to answer your question that you can imagine yourself. Later in the semester, we'll add some characteristics to this list, but for now, you need only attend to these 3 points. So here's a first example. The topic is alcohol treatment. This is one of the topics I identified in the last lecture. The question, why is treatment for alcoholism effective for some people and not for others? And my reasons are, I've noticed that 2 people with the same alcohol problem can go through the same treatment and one will recover while the other does not. It makes me wonder why. Is there something different about the people or the situation or what? So this is exactly the assignment you'll be doing for one of your applications. So example 2 is intentional breathing. So that's my topic, intentional breathing. And the question is, to what extent does intentional breathing, for example, doubling your exhale time, reduce anxiety? My reasons are that I am a long-time yoga student, and in yoga we often do a practice called pranayama, in which we work with the breath. I know how relaxed I feel when I work with breath, and I know that a lot of old yoga teachings also mention these calming benefits from breath work. I'd like to know whether science has looked at this at all, and if so, what results were found. Example 3 is relationship longevity. So that's my topic. The question is, what relationship or personal factors can predict how long a marriage will last, or whether a marriage will end in divorce? And my reasons are, nearly everyone who gets married thinks the marriage will last a lifetime, and some marriages do, while others end in divorce. I was reading this Gladwell book that referenced some other research by Gottman that was really interesting, indicating that certain subtle facial reactions like eye rolls when a married couple is fighting can predict divorce. So I wondered whether there were any factors like that predict longevity, a marriage that will last, or divorce before 2 people actually get married, before they make the commitment. Here are some tips. Don't worry if your question isn't perfect. This isn't the time for that. For now, we're just meeting 3 criteria: interestingness, feasibility, empiricism. Keep it simple. Simpler is better. Don't ask a question with a lot of variables. Try and just have a really direct, a linear question in quantitative psychology is what we use. And expect feedback and critique. So it's my job to both encourage you to learn this content and to help you hone your ideas. And that means that every time you write something, I'll be asking you a question. And you want to be sure not to take that as criticism of you. I, as a young student, was pretty sensitive, and so I'm aware that some of you are, and you might feel vulnerable posting your ideas out there. So I just want you to be aware that everyone's going to get feedback, because that's my responsibility and my job. So I want to make sure that you know that up front, so that when you see that in your work, you don't feel bad or feel that you're unworthy or that you're not doing well. This is what researchers do for each other. And secondly, I'm asking your classmates to share their ideas with you too. So if someone in your class, a classmate of yours says to you, did you think about doing this? Or I can't see how this could be tested. Can you explain? Don't feel offended by that. This is the job of us as a community working together to make the best ideas possible from each of us. So don't take any offense. Just this kind of critique makes all of our ideas better. And the process of thinking about other people's ideas makes you a better thinker. So if others are suggesting things to you about your idea, it's because your idea is good and interesting and worthy of others' thought and time. So I'll end here and wish you well with the assignments this week.